modules. That's that base knowledge package that hopefully by the end of the week, you guys are feeling equipped or close to equipped to be able to start communicating and sharing that with the people in your care. And you'll advance to the next slide. So this is a slide we flashed at the very beginning of the training. So we really just covered the basic concepts in the first 2 days, laid down some knowledge. And so now we're going to start with really more of the skills and application. And we'll go a little deeper on some concepts, but really try to get you guys some more reps as we're working through this. Because again, our approach isn't just to be up here training people all the time. Now we recognize, hopefully, for the next few years, we get to do that until we're able to develop enough Army leaders, both in the UMT lane as well as the tactical lane, the squad level leader lane, where these leaders are the ones that are sharing it with their teams and hopefully building that, becoming subject matter experts within the Army where they're able to support people that are getting exposed to this for the first time. And so I just want to do a quick flyover here, how we're set up structurally to do that with the training. So, we mentioned for the first 2 days, hey, when you send somebody an assessment, make sure it's a basic count, and really all they're going to get is the 4-letter sequence and just a high-level summary paragraph generally describes that. And so then you move over to the core accounts, and in time, and we'll speak a little bit more about this on Friday, and certainly Chaplain Coyne will weigh in then as well, but the core accounts are what we've envisioned and designed the soldiers and their families to have, because we want the soldier to have access to the information that we went through the first 10 days, we want, or 2 days, and we want the spouse to have that same information. So all the letter tool information, all the connect feature and function of that, all the advice there, all the audio clips that are tied into that, as well as all the slides and modules. So if y'all are hosting a small group and just have everybody in a living room setting or whatever, everybody can follow along on the with those slides. So hopefully the soldiers and the spouses will have access to the core accounts as we roll those out. And that is a paid for account that the Army has paid for. And so again, we'll get into how those get distributed on Friday. But then you guys going through this 5-day training, in addition to what the soldiers and their companions will get, also just have access to a little bit more information and capabilities so that y'all can host events, so that y'all can manage groups at a different level, send out multiple invite requests, and then also dig a little deeper with some conflict recognition and intervention as well. And again, we'll build on that over the next few days, and this slide will make a little more sense on Friday as well. But just wanted to give you a snapshot of where we're headed. So, any questions on that before I turn it back over to Rob? All right, thanks.
So I mentioned this just a minute ago. So talk to me about the Army and how it trains soldiers to shoot. What do we, they come in, some of them never shot before. So what's, just talk as a class, the process. What do we go through?
Lots and lots of repetitions.
Okay.
And this.
David, I've been trying to get you in the class, all right? So this is your time. Go ahead.
Starting with how to hold the weapon.
Okay. All right, next. David, do you want me to throw this to you?
No, I wasn't
All right, here we go. You guys are on. Huh? All right, David's running this part of the activity. Here we go. MG will bring it back to you. Somebody else. There's a slew of things you could say. So there's no right or wrong here. I'm not trying to get chronological order here. David will, but I'm not. Okay? Here we go. Here we go.
Okay.
No. Come on.
Okay.
Come on.
So, broadly speaking, it's not only repetition, but a drill of consistency with the small things.
Okay.
Sight picture, constantly getting the same sight picture. Your finger position, things like that. I won't say too much, but a consistency with the small things.
Great. Good. Somebody else.
Train them to have at the forefront of their mind safety, to be safety conscious.
Okay. Good. Somebody else. Here we go.
Well, first they have to learn how the weapons, then they learn
Explain that. I mean, we understand it, but give me through. Go through a few
so
steps.
the cycles of function of the weapon, how it's assembled, disassembled. The
Do we
safety
time them to
behind
do
it.
that? Is there a go, no-go station ever where they have to go through that?
I'm sure there is. That was,
When I got my
Long time
Spurs
ago, I don't
at
remember
1-9 Cav, that was one of our stations. That was one of our go, no-go stations, right? Of doing it. That's
body
Yeah.
position, sight picture, trigger squeeze, breathing, the breathing fundamentals while shooting. Where to hold on a target at different distances. How their optic works.
okay. Anybody else? We good, Darren?
Yeah,
Thanks,
when I
MJ.
drink a lot of
Thanks.
coffee, I start thinking humorous thoughts. And I remember the very first time I put on Miles gear, it was all jacked up on my helmet and my shoulders. So I'm looking at that Miles gear going, looks pretty good.
Somebody else. All right, do we just automatically take them to the range? No, we don't. Just because we take them to the range, does that mean they can shoot? And then what do we work on? How to get better at it, right? Now, they can end up shooting in a range, but is that the same thing as if something happened? No? Can you shoot in the range and not do well? Right? Yeah. So when I was in Mosul, we had an insurgent come in and shot 2 of my guys and killed them in our first iteration when I was in Mosul. And yeah, so I ended up being where I needed to be, and how it ended up that day, I'm the one that had to ID them. And my brigade chaplain showed up with me. So Mike Patterson, who's now at Fort Benning, showed up with me, and I was very grateful that day. But we all know when something like that happens, you go back and relook at what everybody did, right? So our guys had weapons too, but did everybody shoot the right way? No, some didn't shoot at all. One guy went in the porta-john and just crapped all over himself. That was his reaction, right? Afraid, scared. That's exactly what happened to him. I had to sort of help him as a chaplain recover from what everybody thought about that. I mean, that was big, because his whole platoon and team knew what he responded. So my point is that there's a bunch of skills in shooting that our soldiers learn. We want to teach you for the next 3 to 5 days some skills. I just introduced you to some concepts. There's some skills in this that we want you to learn. But just because I tell you the skill, does that mean you're going to know the skill? Or you're going to be able to know the use of skill? It's going to take people like what you did. Give it, try it. That's what I've done for all these years, right? Here it is, mirror it. Now, I didn't have a digital training platform, but now you do. We've given you answers. Well, you may end up helping us get our answers better. So that's where we want to go. We want to go with helping you with skills And gentlemen, can we pass out their skills list? We've already passed them out? Okay, there's a skills list that we've passed out to you. It's on your table, they're saying. You guys see them? So some of these you may recognize and some of these you may not. As of today, these are the skills that we want you to go green on. But we don't necessarily think that you're going to be green by Friday. But what we want to do Friday is for you to tell us, hey, I'm red, amber, green on this. There's two things that's going to do. Rob missed the mark in my teaching. Two, maybe it's just some of you are going to be green. In our last class, there are some people that were green and some people that were amber, right? In our last class, there's a couple of skills that we know that a lot of you are going to be amber on, and we're good with that. So we can end up doing customized training for you if that's something that you want to do. To say we want to help you in this specific area. So if we talk on the phone, it's just not some concept. We want to go by a skills list by saying, hey, we believe these are the skills that are necessary for you to be the most effective with the DDP and the core framework. And this is where we're going to go for the next three days. And so this module and where we're going today is here's the skills. We're going to continue to increase your self-awareness, connecting with others. We're going to talk about first and second letters. 5, using the DDP, that's a skill. I just covered customized communication in a very intro way. Doesn't mean you have the skill to do it. We've just introduced the concept for you to start practicing. Now, you may get it, like you may understand it, and you may say, hey, that's all I need, I'm green. Somebody may be like, hey, I'm amber. We're okay with whatever that you pick. And then we're going to talk about interpreting sequences. So this is what you're going to see from us. This is where we're going today. Here's the skills list that we're trying to get after. So we have some structure to where we're going, and then we can review at the end of day 5. Any questions about that? Any questions? All right. So we're going to end up doing a review over the next 3 modules. We're going to review quickly about self-awareness. That's what we did in 1 through 5, 1 through 6. We're going to end up talking about knowing others. Then we're going to talk about engagement. So we're just going to do a quick review between now and lunch. And so some of you are like, oh, Rob, I got this. Now we're going to try to make some application to it. And we've been doing that, sprinkling it a little bit at a time. But this module, we're going to try to focus a little bit on self-awareness. So we're going to talk about you. All right? So this is what I want you to do. This is going to be an exercise for you to evaluate yourself. And what I want you to do, I've given you 8 questions. And I just want you to answer 4 of those on a piece of paper. So this is a self-awareness piece. Before you get started, let me tell you where we're going to go with this. And then I want to tell you this because this may affect what question you answer. And then we're going to break into groups, and I want you to tell your group your answers that you chose to answer. So that's why I'm telling. I don't want you to write something, and then you get in a group and you didn't know you were going to do that, right? So this is a self-awareness piece. How do you make choices in these areas? And I want you to share that with your group. I want you to talk about it. I just want you to process it. The secondary objective is when you begin to listen to somebody, I want you to see what their sequence is and listen to how they make choices in these areas, right? Because that's what you're going to do if you're talking to soldiers. They're going to be telling you about certain things, and I just want you to listen. So I want you to pick 4 of the 8, and then when we all get done, I'll break into groups, and we'll share that. So this is a focus on self-awareness, how you make choices. And parenting can be an issue. Communication can be an issue with you and your wife or your children, right? Your parenting style is different. So, if we end up talking, if I did this with your spouses, they may end up saying, this is how I do it, you're different. So that creates, but that's not where we're going. But that's where I really want you to go at home, is to sit down and talk about that. So I'm going to be quiet, answer 4 of 8, then we'll break into groups. Any questions? Is that clear, what I want you to do? Yes? Okay, you guys are all reading. Joe, can we turn on some music? Good. Okay, let's break into groups of 4. It's going to take a little longer, but that gives me some diversity of sequence in the groups. That's part of my reasoning here. So before you break into groups of 4, one of the things I want you to do is that, do you see any connection? Maybe not in every question, but in some, do you see any connection with what you wrote with your own sequence? Right? So Michael mentioned that to me to say that, and I forgot. That's an important connection point. So just do that, answer the questions, then just talk as a group. Okay? So let's break into groups of 4. You can spread out, and then we'll come back. So this is the application of self-awareness. We really want you to begin to take a harder look at you. Yes. All right, take a couple more minutes, and then we're gonna share. Take a couple more minutes. Hey, if your group's done, just give me a thumbs up so I'll know. Anybody done? One group? Okay. His feet were here earlier, but I don't see him now. All right, 30 more seconds, 30 more seconds. Jessup has like 4 minutes. So I said 2 minutes, it was 3.5, and then we have 30 more past it. Okay, let's we're gonna talk about 2 things here as a class. Did you see yourself? Turn this on. So was there anything in the questions, one of the questions, 2 of the questions, that you saw your sequence in the answer that you gave or how you choose in that area? I'm not saying it's every one of them, but anybody see yourself in that, how you answered? And if so, just, I'm gonna throw you the catch box and just sort of share with the class how that plays out for you.
So me and Patrick, it came out in how we analyze the question. Like, describe your parenting style. Well, that's pretty broad.
Yeah.
Like, that's open-ended. What are you getting at?
Yeah.
I'm not
what are you
prepared to
getting at?
answer
What are
that
you
if you're
getting
not,
at,
if
right?
I don't know where you're going with that.
Great. Yeah, it's great. Somebody else. Good.
You
Who
delay-
says RO people can't be funny? You kidding me? They're funny. They're funny. All right, go ahead.
What are the, okay, yeah.
No, I'm not mocking. Now they're analyzing what I said. I'm crucified. Here you go.
Yeah.
Hey, sorry about that.
No
We got,
worries.
all right, go ahead.
The number 2, the variables in the decision.
Can you bring it up to you before you hear it?
As far as the variables in the decision, if I have what I feel that I need, it's irrelevant. So I decide I go. But I've learned that about myself, that I have to stop, pull back, look more at the details rather than just go on a whim.
I don't think I have put this in the platform anywhere, I don't believe. E's an action letter. E's an action letter. Wherever your E is, this is very simple formula. That's when you say yes. So Darren, that's where you say yes. So Darren's ORCE, give me the information details, does it make sense? I'm gone. Right? Information details, is it good for people? I'm gone. JD's E first, when is he gonna go? Now. OE, you'll go quicker, say yes quicker before E last. So anyway, that's just a tidbit, just something to put in the back of your mind. Okay, somebody else. I thought of that when you were talking now. Somebody else. How you saw you? That's the first question in the answer.
Yeah, absolutely. So I saw me because was over with this group for this one, different than Mike on the decisions. You know, we saw, I think I saw at least my sequence in there, and that I make decisions quickly, and the way that I feel comfortable about those decisions is, are they helping others? But there wasn't ever a need to find all the information and organize it. It was just whenever I felt like I had enough, like, great, let's go.
CERO. Good. Somebody else. Somebody else. How did you see you in an answer that you gave? I mean,
So-
how did you see your sequence? Yeah.
So I answered all 8 of them.
Okay.
And then when it came time to go around to answer the 4, I didn't do it, but I was planning on just saying, okay, pick 4 and I'll answer them. And so it even comes down to the decision making of one of the key things is I want input and collaboration. So even with the 4 that I was going to answer would have been, which 4 would they want me to answer?
Patrick, did you write anything down? Right. Good. That's not a put down on him. So Brian and Patrick don't say, where's he going? I'm just trying to say, right? They answered them, right? They don't have to write it all down. They're thinking. They're just going to end up verbalizing it. I just wanted to show that. Somebody else, your sequence. So if you have an RO child and you tell them to do something, just because they don't do it, are they questioning authority? Not necessarily. You could perceive it that way. There's a good chance Brian says, right? No doubt they're controlling, right? But I'm just trying to say, just you understand reasoning. They got a reason why. I would want to engage the why. Like, okay, there's a reason. Just engage it first before you assume. Somebody else, and then we're going to pivot. Anybody else, how you saw your sequence within your answer? No? Okay, let's pivot. How did you see somebody else's sequence in their answer?
As soon as it came time to answer, Darren just immediately, okay, you're the youngest, you answer. Nope, you already answered your 4. Okay, next, you go here. And so he just completely took charge of the group and kept us, created order and then kept us on track and time.
Got done. Yeah, our ops guy's Michael. He does the same thing.
So we saw the sequence play out in question 3 in the context of communication. Do you deal directly or indirectly with people? And I asked Brian a couple of times, hey, what did you answer for that, sir? He's like, no, we can keep going. We can keep going.
I didn't tell you to set you up. You probably didn't think about how you were communicating to the different sequences at the table. Some of you probably, when 1 or 2 people talked in your group, some of you may have connected more with one and probably got toned out on something else because of the way they communicated. You may have not felt that, but that could be. I didn't set you up to think through that, but it happens, right? Somebody else? How did you see somebody else's sequence?
So unique to our group was that we all have C as the second letter,
Okay.
and the majority of us answered question number 4. Do you give the benefit of doubt? And I believe everybody that answered that question said yes. So that was interesting.
Yep. Good. Somebody else? So this is a good exercise to do with your spouse. Because I believe out of sequence, if your sequence is different, they may do it differently, and it's good to talk about. Kim, can I bring you in this conversation of what you did last night with your spouse? You mind sharing that? Okay. So this has to do with self-awareness and knowing the other person, but I'm gonna go and share it now.
So last night after dinner, Tasha and I, we sat on the couch, and basically we spent the rest of the evening on the couch with a pen, notepad, and then our devices, talking over 3 primary sets of relationships. One was me and Tasha, because we're very different. Tasha and one of my children, who are the exact opposites. And then my daughter and son-in-law, who also have some significant opposites. So those are the 3 conversations that we talked about. But what was funny was, so we talked through all those things, and then I circled back to Tasha, and I just said, okay, so, well, we went through the sequence. I explained a little bit more about the different positions and movements, and then even the distress, and then I went to the distress cycle and talked about, we had a conversation about that. So we were going through everything, the likes, the dislikes, the perceptions, the communication. So every tab on our appropriate pages. So, I mean, it was a long conversation. It was a good one. But anyway, what was really funny was, so I am COER and Tasha is ORCE. And also significant there is that the OR are very high, and then her CE very low, her E is 0. And so like she even is already joking around now, like fun mom doesn't come out much. And so even talking about the differences there, that when she shifts, it's a pretty dramatic shift. It's not even like a gradual, it's like a fall off. And so I was wrapping up the conversation then with, okay, babe, so this is what I'm now gonna do and try to do. So I want you to recognize it. So as we talk, I am going to avoid open-ended questions. I'm gonna try to be very direct. It's gonna be a little awkward and weird for me, I was looking through the communication thing. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna do this. I'm gonna try to engage you more with your thoughts and your feelings. And the whole time I'm doing that, she's shaking her head. She's like, what? Like, what I was like talking about, open-ended questions and feelings. I mean, she's just like, it's such a waste of time. And I was like, oh my goodness, thank you. Yes, I'm listening to you more than anybody else these days.
Wait, hold on. Josh, tell him, say it.
Just do it. Don't tell me about it. We don't go talk about it.
Hey, tell him the advice that I told you last night after class. What to do with this class.
It was,
listen to who?
You need to really pay attention to both Josh and Darren, and without it getting all weird, you need to view them as your wife and how you need to interact with your wife.
I did.
I did. Okay, well, that's weird. So I'm listening. So
yeah, Josh can help you communicate because he's 13 head. How
12
head. So when Josh says, hey, this is what he just gave him advice for, is that hard for a C person to do? I mean, he told me last night.
But
it's rude, Rob. I can't. Or I got to try to say, hey, it's like riding a bike. It's a skill. You really got to work at it, right?
So anyway, so I went through basically the communication, the perception stuff, and I said, okay, so I am going to change the way I'm interacting with you. I'm going to be direct. I'm going to ask specific closed-ended questions, and I'm not going to be emotional. I'm going to try to avoid emotional language. It's just going to be black and white and all the way down. And she was like, well, again, she said, but yeah, like no duh. And so, okay. And so that was great. And then about 20 seconds later, she looked at me and she went, wait a second. I was like, what? She goes, does that mean that you expect me now to get all like emotional with you and flowery
I didn't know that
and all
story.
this other stuff? And I was like, well, if we want to try to connect and engage with each other, it probably would work. She just, it's such a waste of time. Okay. But that's sort of how the conversation ended with it. But it was good.
That's great. So that was your opportunity to be direct.
Yeah, and I was.
Yeah, it's good, great.
That sounds like I'm your wife's sequence and about the same balance number. And so just the fact, so that conversation, just as you described it, just sounded really long and painful from a ORCE, I'm sure it's sweet, but just the fact that she was willing to sit down there and do that with you, being that my sequence is basically hers, she's showing you that how much she loves you just to do that, because that's not natural for us.
Oh, that's great insight. Josh?
So more than anything, I've had those conversations with my wife.
Hold on.
Show,
So when I talk with this, I put sequence. So do you mind if I put sequence
absolutely.
of your wife's sequence on the board?
Yeah.
No?
I think she's a CR. Yeah.
Is she CROE, Josh? Do I remember if she was, I think she was CROE,
Yes.
right? Okay, so this is Josh, and what's your wife's name?
Hannah.
Hannah? Okay.
Yes.
All right, so now I want you to talk, so I want the class to learn. Go ahead.
I just wanted to emphasize, show me. Like, my wife shows me she loves me by doing those things or trusting in me or being on time, not telling me I'm going to be on time or anything like that. So if I had that conversation with my wife, like, all right, you can talk about it. So.
Good, here. Which is that missed, incomplete. So Josh's comment, if he would communicate that to her, would that have hit or would that be a miss? But is that truthful? It's truthful. So it's in our approach. It's in, okay, how do we, some of your C people, let's just do something. We need Josh to be able to tell his wife what he thinks. How can we impact that approach and say the same thing a different way for a C person? Now, I just want my C people to talk to me, mainly my CR people, to hear it. And maybe we can get on your digital training platform and look at likes, dislikes, look at communication. Everybody do that. This is a exercise for application. I agree. That's what she's thinking, he's thinking. So how could he have said that to you? I want Josh to tell him what he thinks, right? That's important. So do you see anything, critical analysis here, critical thinking? Do you see anything anywhere that we can say, hey, Josh, this is good to say that, but we gotta change the way that you say it because your wife is C first. And she could end up taking it personal. I want it to be said, how can we avoid that IED or how can we avoid that impact?
If it's couched in,
Hold on. Let me give you catch box. It's my fault.
So instead of at the end of the conversation, like, great, show me. If it was couched relationally of, I appreciate you making that effort or something like that. Or even, I look forward to having this happen. Right? So that's still the show me, but I know it's probably still too soft or whatever, but that's how I would receive it better.
We're talking about the messages being received, right?
Right.
In communication, that's what we're talking about. Not just heard, but received.
So, but something like, I look forward to more direct conversation.
Okay.
Even something like that.
Okay. So anybody, OC, CEO, I think you guys could add
Well,
something.
my wife is a C first, and so anytime I want to share like vital information with her, it's best to do it within just a conversation, like a long conversation that ends up getting to a place. She does not want the bottom line up front. If I just come at her with bottom line up front, it's like I'm attacking her.
If I remember, she's COER.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so just sitting on the front porch, talking, and then as we're talking, she knows I'm caring for her. And then if I bring out something like, I think we need to do this differently, or, we're struggling with the kids in this area, I think we need to change here or whatever, then she receives that better than if I just sit down to have an intentional conversation with her about that one thing.
Yeah.
And so
Okay.
that works with
For
my
you.
wife.
Okay. Bobby, I'm gonna pick on you because you're the only CR right now in the room. Alex is gone. So how would you help Josh be able to say what he wants to say and you receive it? Because Rebecca's OR, right? So we had this long, hey, Josh, can you tell Bobby again what you said? Like we had this conversation and you just said, just show me.
Yeah, I'm glad you told me you're gonna be on time, but show me.
Okay, so if he would have said it, that and how would you have received it and how can we help him say what he thinks but approach it differently?
So you need to know that she wants to please you right from the beginning. That's just part of who she is.
And that's sequence because you're the same
Yes.
way, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
She wants you to be pleased. And what she's saying is she's committing to you to do the best she can to be on time. And if you say, hey, babe, I really appreciate that, and I'll do the best I can to be patient with you. I'll even remind you gently if it will be helpful. If it won't be helpful, I'll do my best to back off, which goes against your nature, to back off.
So Bobby used the same word appreciate as Tim did a while ago.
Here's a question I have to wrestle with too. What will it say about you if you're late? And why are you afraid of that?
Oh, then pass it to him so the class can hear. Yeah, good question, Darren. Great
So
question.
why is being early or on time? Because I care about it. Yeah, whatever the task at hand is, getting to church on time.
Mhm.
That's a good answer. What's the real negative answer that you're afraid of?
I don't want to be viewed as someone who's lazy or, I'm not that person.
Darren's spot, that's the root right there.
Mhm.
So I'm first. Worked before I became active duty chaplain, worked at a church, was late, fought going to church because of that reason for me.
Failure is unacceptable.
Right? And I had to get over that to say that's my real issue. Really, this is my self-reflection of having to process that because I'm 01st, Stephanie's 03rd. Stephanie's almost Hannah. I was more concerned about being on time in my image than really about my relationship. I gave up, destructed my relationship over me.
Reputation management.
That was my piece. Great question.
Now, CRs actually care about being on time. They care about their image, how they're perceived. And so you both have concerns about the same issue. If you're sharp with the CR, all you're going to do is irritate them. It doesn't just hurt, it irritates. And there's a little bit of difference. So if you said, show me, then you move me from my CR self to what is she next? She's OR. And then the two of you just knock heads. You're in a power struggle. Yeah. So I get really mean when I go to OR. I'm all business when I go to OR.
Great. Yes. This is where it matters, the application of this. I want to stay here. a
And
little
that
bit. We're
word
staying longer.
appreciation, my wife is
Hold on, let's put her up.
COER.
She's COER, same, and Mark is OCRE.
Okay. Now, what I've learned in my life living with her
Hey, put your mic up so we can hear you.
is that there's a reason why she's late. And I look at it as being, slacking off and that kind of thing. But a lot of times she's getting things for the kids at church, the grandkids, or she's trying to take care of somebody else's needs that she can perceive. And so What I've learned is to back off of that. And then to come around and when she does do something like that, to tell her I appreciate her. Not just at that moment, but just that word appreciation keeps jumping out. And for example, we just got off of a trip back to Florida with our extended family and everything. And she was really worried about all the dynamics. And Rob said to her, stay in your green. Don't run out of your green. Don't take things personal. And so she's made a lot of adjustments during that time since that vacation. And what I try to do is I try to find her being in her green and compliment her. She needs appreciation. She needs recognition. She needs to be heard. And so sometimes my hard charging approach has not always been the right approach. But now that's after 40-something years of marriage, guys. You got a long ways to go.
And Mark is a student of interpersonal skills. I mean, he's been a student at this for years and years and years. So he's done a lot of work on himself.
If we had not learned something like this, and this is dovetailed into this core recon, if we had not learned relationships and personalities, we wouldn't be married today. Two things have kept us together: our belief in God and training and understanding each other. And if we didn't have that, we wouldn't be together. I'm satisfied.
Okay, so let's take a 5-minute break. 5-minute break, good work. We're going to come back and we're going to get an overview of knowing the other person. Okay, that's what we're going to do. Let's take a 5-minute break. Hey, this is going to be 5 minutes because I'm going to try to squeeze it before lunch, okay? Good work, good work.
I can't help it, trying to hide this. It's just impossible. I won't deny it. I'm falling so fast with you, it's unstoppable. Love so exquisite, how could I hide it? Taking me over, drawing me closer. Drawn to you, you are a dream. Inspiring me, you light me up like kerosene. There's no way that I could hide a love so bright. You light me up like kerosene. I won't fight it, don't wanna break this fever inside of me. I feel it rising, feeling ignited, willingly overcome. Love so exquisite, how could I hide it? Taking me over, drawing me closer. Drawn to you, you are a dream. Inspiring